You didn't mean to disappear. You didn't plan to stop replying, to fade out, to vanish like mist from someone's life. But one day, the thought of responding felt heavier than silence itself. And maybe they'll never understand that it wasn't hate that made you go silent. It was exhaustion. It was fear. It was your mind begging for peace. Because ghosting isn't always an act of cruelty. Sometimes it's the body's last defense against emotional overwhelm. When you've spent too long being misunderstood, explaining yourself, giving pieces of your soul to people who only listened to reply, not to understand, silence starts to feel like safety. The nervous system doesn't ask for permission. It shuts down before your mouth can form the words. And suddenly, disappearing feels easier than trying to explain why you no longer have the energy to stay. Psychologically, ghosting is a form of self-protection, an avoidant response deeply rooted in fear and conditioning. It's what happens when the mind associates confrontation with danger. When communication has been used against you in the past, you start to believe that silence is the only way to stay safe. Maybe you grew up in a home where your feelings were too much, where speaking your truth brought chaos, where honesty meant punishment. So you learned that vanishing was easier than being seen. You learned that retreating was the only way to keep your peace. And now, as an adult, that same pattern repeats itself. You leave before you're left. You cut off before they can cut deeper. Ghosting is not just running away from others. It's running from the pain of being misunderstood again. From the fear that if you speak, it'll only make things worse. You tell yourself you're doing the kind thing by disappearing quietly, sparing them the truth. But deep down, it's not kindness, it's survival. It's your mind saying, I can't hold this anymore. Yet, every time you disappear, a part of you disappears with it. Every unfinished conversation becomes a weight. Every silence a reminder of what could have been said but never was. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're really building walls around your heart so high that even love can't climb them anymore. The truth is, ghosting feels peaceful at first, but it's a temporary escape that eventually turns into a quiet prison. Because when you avoid hard conversations, you also avoid healing. When you choose silence over truth, you delay your own freedom. You start to live half live, half seen, half heard. And the more you disappear, the harder it becomes to return. But healing begins when you realize that communication isn't your enemy. Fear is that not everyone will punish your vulnerability. That sometimes the very conversation you're avoiding is the one that could set you free. You stop ghosting not because you owe people explanations, but because you no longer fear being seen. Because when you make peace with yourself, there's nothing left to hide. When you stop disappearing from your own truth, you stop disappearing from others. Ghosting was never about them. It was about your pain trying to protect itself from being reopened. But peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from facing the noise inside and realizing you are always strong enough to speak. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, press the thumbs up and share it with others. It helps spread the message of inner peace and self-discovery. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this.